Hello, everyone. Today I want to share a story that changed my life forever. My name is Lisa, and I am 27 years old. This is a story about love, trust, betrayal, and self discovery. I believe that my story will teach you something important about relationships, honesty, and the strength we carry within ourselves. This is not just any story, this is my story. It's about the man I loved, the life we built together, and the night everything changed. But most importantly, it's about how I found the courage to move forward. So let's begin. I met Daniel 5 years ago at a coffee shop. It was a normal day. I was sitting in my favorite corner, reading a book. When he walked in, he had messy brown hair, sharp green eyes, and a confident smile. He ordered a black coffee, sat at the table next to mine, and after a few minutes he asked, "That book looks interesting. What's it about?" That's how it started. A simple conversation that turned into daily coffee shop meetings, long walks in the park, and hours of talking about everything. He was charming, funny, and made me feel like I was the only person in the world. Months passed, and our love grew stronger. We moved in together, decorated our small apartment, and dreamed about our future. He promised me a lifetime of happiness. I believed him. But promises, they don't always last. Everything was perfect for the first few years. Daniel and I would wake up early, make coffee together, and talk about our plans for the day. He would leave for work, kiss me goodbye, and promise to call during lunch. And he did. Every single day. Even on the busiest days, he would send me messages. "Miss you already? How's your day going? Can't wait to see you tonight." He made me feel loved, important, safe. But slowly, things started to change. At first, it was small, almost invisible. His morning kisses became quick. Sometimes he forgot them altogether. Our coffee time, gone. He was always in a rush. Then his texts became shorter. Instead of "miss you," it was just "busy." "Talk later." I told myself it was just work stress, that things would go back to normal soon. But they didn't. He started staying late at the office. Sometimes he wouldn't even text me at all. When I asked, he just smiled and said, "You worry too much, Lisa." Everything is fine. But fine didn't feel like this. He started turning his phone away when he texted. His laughter, once so full of warmth, now felt distant, like he was laughing at something I wasn't a part of. One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and saw the glow of his phone. He was texting someone. When I shifted in bed, he quickly put his phone away. My heart sank. "Who are you texting this late?" I asked. He hesitated for a second, just a second, but I noticed. Then he smiled. "Just a friend from work. She needed help with something." A friend from work. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But deep inside, something told me I had already lost him. It was a Friday evening. Daniel told me he had an important business meeting and wouldn't be home until late. I kissed him goodbye, smiled, and said, "Don't work too hard." But as he walked out the door, my heart felt heavy. Something inside me said, "Follow him." I had never done anything like this before. I trusted him. But that night, trust wasn't enough. I grabbed my coat and followed him. He drove across the city, not towards his office, but to a quiet restaurant. I parked my car at a distance and watched as he walked inside. My hands were shaking. Maybe it was just a normal dinner. Maybe I was overthinking. But then I saw her. A woman walked in, tall, elegant, with long black hair. She smiled at him like she had known him forever. And then he stood up and hugged her. A deep, familiar hug. I felt my heart stop. Then they sat down, laughing, talking, leaning close. He held her hand across the table. He looked at her the way he used to look at me. Tears filled my eyes, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, watching the man I loved, my Daniel, being someone else's Daniel. I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk inside and ask, "Who is she? What is she to you?" But I already knew the answer. I had followed him that night, and I had seen the truth. I drove home in silence. My heart was broken, but my mind was clear. I wouldn't let him lie to me anymore. When he came home, he smiled at me as if nothing had happened, but I had seen too much. I placed my phone on the table. I had taken pictures. Proof. "Daniel," I said, my voice shaking, "who is she?" His face turned pale. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. "Don't lie to me," I whispered. And then he sighed, rubbed his face, and finally admitted it. "Her name is Claire. We've been seeing each other for a few months." A few months. For months, while I was loving him, trusting him, believing in him, he was loving someone else. I took a deep breath. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "I didn't want to hurt you." I laughed. A bitter, painful laugh. "You didn't want to hurt me? You already did." That night, I made the hardest decision of my life. I packed my bags, took one last look at the home we built together, and walked away. It wasn't easy. The next few weeks were full of tears, sleepless nights, and questions with no answers. I kept asking myself, was I not enough? Was it my fault? Did I do something wrong? But deep down, I knew the truth. Love should never make you feel small, unwanted, or like you're fighting alone. And no matter how much I wished things had been different, I had to accept reality. He had already let go of me. I was the only one still holding on. One morning, I woke up and realized I didn't need Daniel to be happy. I had me. So I started doing things I loved. I traveled alone, read books in coffee shops, and watched sunsets without feeling lonely. I found myself again. And one day, as I stood by the ocean, the wind in my hair, the sun on my face, I whispered to myself, I am free. Trust is beautiful, but when someone breaks it, don't hold on to the pain. Let go. Move forward. Because sometimes losing someone is the best thing that can happen to you. Life has a way of teaching us that our happiness should never depend on another person. People change, promises break, and love sometimes fades. But your self-worth should never be tied to someone else's choices. You are enough, even on your worst days. Even when you feel lost, even when someone makes you question your worth. Remember, you were whole before them, and you will be whole after them. Never beg for love. Never chase after someone who treats you like an option. Love should be freely given, not something you have to fight for. And most importantly, choose yourself. The moment you start valuing yourself, the right people will find you. The people who truly care, who respect you, and who would never make you doubt your place in their life. So, if you're holding on to someone who makes you feel like you are not enough, let go. The best love story you will ever have is the one you write for yourself. Thank you for listening. I hope this story not only helps you learn English, but also reminds you of the power of self-love and inner strength. If you like this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who want to learn English through storytelling. And if you want more, stay tuned for our next video. See you soon, and happy learning!